Hi, this is an update on the Concepto project, which is trying to mesh together Sherlock's capacity to make hypergraphs out of text with OpenAI's GPT-3 completion engine. And really, you should look at this video before you go on too much further if you get confused. But anyway, I'll try and make it reasonably clear. Sherlock produces hypergraphs from documents. It's probably the easiest thing is just to show you one so that you get the idea. So here we are. Here are the keywords and how they connect. So you can see that, for instance, we get textual entailment. What you can do that's quite interesting is to say, well, give me examples of that. So what do we get? We get the matching text, which the context, quite literally. And if you want to see it in its natural surroundings, all you have to do is click, one hopes. Yes. And finally, it scrolls to the place. Okay, so what you have is a visual index of what the document is about. All right, let's go back to the Airtable. Okay, so that's what we bring to the party. And what we were trying to figure out was whether our view of things would sort of match up with OpenAI's, and it sort of does. First of all, we tried using an abstract of the hypergraph to measure against all the other ones using the semantic distance engine part of GPT-3, the semantic distance. And you can see it basically works that things that were in the same, put by hand into the category, generally come in the same cluster. It doesn't always work, but mainly it does. And that's interesting because it suggests that the way we look at things actually can match up to the way OpenAI looks at things in its models. Following along, if that's true, then our way of distilling should provoke a reasonable response from OpenAI, i.e., if we take the texts and we stew them right down to the absolute minimum that we can do and make a hypergraph thereof, these are the words that we'll actually end up sending to see whether they pass the content review. And you can see that the two means it's not so good, one is better, and so on. And that's the confidence of the assessment. And broadly speaking, you can see that abusing robot, that sort of thing, violence, it does sound quite a lot more dodgy than this, which is from an ADHD thing. Yeah. So again, the picture that is starting to emerge is that we're doing the same form of analysis from the start point of collocation. Thereafter, how it's represented, either mathematically or connection-wise, it's still driven from the same stuff and should match. So let's try that. Here we have some documents on the subject of GPT-3. Here's what they get reduced to. From that, you can end up with the concept map that we've already seen. And we have the content niceness, for want of a better word, here. So this tells us that we would expect that if we put stuff from here as a prompt into GPT-3 for completion, that it should come back with reasonable results, acceptable results, on the basis of the proxy that we've just sent. Let's see what actually happens then. If you combine all those many graphs that we're looking at, you'll see that they form this incredible structure which you can mess around with, but use also as an index. So here we go. If we want to think about, I don't know, language learners, well, we all seem to be into that. Click on that link and here we go. Language learners, the matching text, but from more than one. That's what the numbers here on the left mean. Yeah. Now, if our view of the text conforms in some way to the OpenAI view, you'd expect that picking these as prompts to send for completion shouldn't produce bad results. So let's give it a whirl. As before, you can click here and see the thing in the wild, but actually what we want to do now is to pick up some sentences that match the pattern that we're looking at, and see what happens if this lot gets put together as a prompt on this topic. So you get the general idea. So let's now go to the synthesizer, which will take all of those and come back with something, we hope. So there we are. That's its first one. It's okay as a class, and it's pretty certain about it. And we can hit more and get more. Yes. It's always a bit of a moment. Okay, so what happens if you pick a topic where some of the documents aren't so clean, like here, where we can see that combination of words did not do well on the content review. It got graded as a 2, and only just, but it was still a 2. And in this landscape, you can see they're not all nice looking zeros. They're up to 2. So we could expect, I guess, that if we were trying to mix up a new prompt and we could find some word that was in here that looked annoying, difficult, like aggression perhaps, then we would expect it to show up in the grade on the completion. Okay, so what do we actually get? All right, let's filter on aggression then. You see, I must have been playing with this just now. All right, so let's filter on aggression and see what happens. Sort of expecting it not to come back with a 0 class, possibly a 1. Anyway, if we press the button and to generate an idea, oh yes, here we go. Oops, there we are. So that again seems to mean that the way our hypergraph is constructed intermeshes with OpenAI's GPT-3 model very easily, i.e. there's a possibility here that you can use documents to steer GPT-3. That's why we want you to let us have a go with the completion engine in public release. That's the point of this video. Thanks for watching.